Good morning, everyone. I'm Natalie from Untitled Pilates. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. We're going to be doing a nice introductory beginners workshop in Pilates. Now, let me just grab my pad, and then I can just have a little look and see if anybody's with me, and I can. There's people watching already, which is fantastic. Now you'll notice there is a chat bar. You can drop a little hello in there, just so I know that you're here with me and you're watching. And I'll keep this handy so that if you've got any questions, you want to ask me anything, you can just type them in there, and I'll have a little look a little bit later on, and then I'll answer those for you. Okay, so we've got a few people on already, which is great. So let me just tell you a little bit about this morning then. So this session this morning is for those of you that maybe haven't done Pilates before. You've heard all about it and you really want to find out a little bit more. You want to do the exercises in a safe way so you can do them at home and starting at the beginning. Okay, so you have a nice foundation to build on. Okay, sometimes it's difficult when we're first learning something, we don't know which exercises we should be doing, if they're the right ones for us. So today I'm going to take you right back to basics. Okay, so all the exercises that we're going to do are going to help you build that nice solid foundation that you can build your Pilates practice on. Maybe you've done Pilates before. If you have, fantastic. Maybe it's been a little while ago. Maybe you feel like you need a bit of a recap, so this morning will be good for you as well. And maybe you're just looking for some nice gentle exercise. Maybe you've just got the odd ache and pain here and there, and you just want to just loosen up a little bit. So it's going to be good for you as well. So let me see. Anybody else? Oh yes, there's more coming on. Nobody's put any chat in there at the minute. No one said hello or anything. So hopefully, if you've got any questions, you'll pop those in and I'll have a look at those later. Okay, shall we crack on? I'm just going to move my mat back a little bit. Okay, I think. Right. Okay, so I hope you're going to join in with me while I'm doing it. You're not just going to watch me, okay? Because that's when you really get the benefits of it, is if you join in with me and we will do it together. So the first thing we are going to do is our setup. So this is really important because it ensures that we have really good posture and that we exercise with good posture, because then if we exercise with good posture, it encourages even better posture. If we exercise with poor posture, then it's just going to encourage those bad habits and that poor posture. I'm just going to stay there. Okay, so we want to stand up nice and tall to start with. Okay, so imagine you're being lengthened up through the spine and you've got a thread coming out the top of your head and it's lengthening you all the way up to the ceiling. So you're standing up as tall as you can. Now I've got my feet together. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fan the heels and then the toes. So my feet are about hip width apart now. And then I'm just going to soften the knees a little bit. Okay. Shoulders, we want those down nicely. Okay, so we're standing up nice and tall. Let's do a little bit of a warm-up. We'll start with the shoulders, shall we? So we're just going to roll the shoulders round. Nice big circles. Just sending those shoulders all the way up to the ears. And then we'll change direction and we'll go the other way. So on any of the moves that we do this morning, just work within your own range of movement. So if you can't make the move as big as I am, don't worry. Just work within your own range. Don't force it too much. Shoulders are relaxed. Now this time, shrug the shoulders right up to the ears and then just let them fall straight down. So we shrug them up and we let them fall straight down. We shrug them up and down. Shrug them up and down. Wonderful. I really like this one. Okay, it just helps me just to relax the shoulders really well, I find. Okay, last one, let them fall. Wonderful. Okay, keep the knees a little soft. Keep the shoulders down. We're going to do little arm floats. So all we're going to do is bring the arms up in front and then lower them back down. And again, we float the arms up in front and then lower them back down. Now we could do a little bit of breathing with this one, couldn't we? So if we breathe out as we float the arms up And breathe in as we float them back down. Breathe out as we float them up. Breathe in to float them back down. Wonderful. Okay then, now let's see if we can keep the arms going. We're going to add in some knee bends, so we'll do it on the next one, shall we? Just little knee bends. So here we go. We're going to go down into the knees and then stand up tall. And again, down into the knees and stand up tall. And again, go down and stand tall. Wonderful. So just a little knee bend. We're just warming the knees up, remember, so we don't want to go down too deeply. Feet should be nice and flat on the mat. That's it. We'll do a couple more. Wonderful. Here's the last one. Fantastic. Okay, stand up nice and tall. Now let's do a bit of rotation. So we're going to see if we can warm the spine up a little bit this time. So these hip bones at the front now, I want you to keep them pointing forward. So imagine you've got laser beams coming out of those hips. Keep those beams of light just pointing straight ahead. Don't let them move. Cross the arms. Okay, so I've just got my arms just slightly lower than my shoulders. Then we're going to rotate. So we're going to rotate around to the side. Now don't force it. If you can't go too far, that's okay. And then come back to centre. Then we go the other way. So we rotate round to the side. And then we come back to centre. So we want the hip bones pointing forwards the whole time, because then we create that nice rotation in the spine. It just helps to start loosening things up a little bit. Here we go, last one. Round to the side. And then come back to centre. Fabulous. Lower the arms. Now, make sure that you've got the knees a little soft. We're going to slide one hand down the leg. So I'm going to do my left hand first. Okay, so as we breathe out, we're going to slide the hand down and then come back to standing. And then we'll slide the other hand down. So as you slide the hand down, you'll feel that nice stretch just in the waist, okay? So you'll feel it here, okay? Now, it's really tempting on this one for a lot of people to really reach down as far as they can. But if you do that, there is the risk of just pulling these muscles in the waist a little bit. And if you pull anything, then we tend to feel a little bit stiff the next day. And we don't want to do that. We just want to loosen things up nicely so that everything just feels easier, it's easier to move, and any tightness that we might feel around the waist in the lower back, it just helps to ease that a little bit. Okay, and then we'll come all the way back to upright. Fabulous. Okay, let's move the feet out a little bit this time, shall we? So I'm going to walk my feet out. Okay, so my feet are roughly shoulder width now. Now I've got my toes turned out, so they're sort of pointing into the corner of the room. I'm going to have my hands on their hips. I'm still nice and upright. So we're going to have another little stretch. So we're going to take the arm up and over. We're going to flex to the side. So again, don't flex too far. Okay, you just want to start to feel that nice bit of a stretch, a little bit of pulling down the side of the body. Okay, don't push it too far. Here we go again. Over to the side. Nice big reach. And then bring it back down. And then the other arm goes over. Wonderful. Okay, let's see if we can move this on a little bit then this time. So we're going to go down into the knees again. So we'll go into our stretch first. We'll flex over to the side. Now, from here, we're going to bend into the knees. And we're going to circle the arm down to the floor. Come back to upright. Flex over to the side again. Bend into the knees. Circle down to the floor. And then we flex over to the side. And then we go down again. We'll do one more little stretch just to finish with. Over to the side. And then we'll bring the arm down. Wonderful. Should we do it on the other side? So we'll do the stretch first. Then from there, bend into the knees. Circle the arm down to the floor. And then flex over to the side. Bend down. Circle the arm around. Here's our last one. Circle the arm around. We'll do that little stretch to the side to finish with. And then we'll bring the arm back down. Wonderful. Okay, let's walk those feet back in again then, shall we? So we want the feet about a hip width. Remember, we found them out at the beginning, so they were hip width. We need to be back in that position now. Okay, so one more thing in standing before we come down to our mat. balance. Balance is really important, especially as we get a little bit older, where we find, I find a lot of ladies find that when they get a bit older, they tend to lose their sense of balance a little bit. But it's one of those things that is quite easy to improve, and we can get better at it quite quickly, actually. So let's test out our balance this morning and see how good we are. I'm going to have my hands on my hips to do it. If you feel a bit wobbly, you could have the arms out in front, okay? So you've got choice of arms. Okay, so we're going to stand up nice and tall. I've got the knees a little soft. We're looking straight ahead. All I'm going to do is peel one foot up off the mat, and I'm just going to let it hover just a little bit. We'll just hold it for a couple of seconds, and then we'll lower it back down. And then we'll do it on the other side. So we're just going to float the foot, hover it a little bit, and then lower it back down. Okay, so don't pick the knee up too high, just a little bit. So if you feel a little bit wobbly, bring the arms out in front. That will just help you to balance. It also helps if you look straight ahead and just focus on something in front. That's going to help as well. Here we go. We'll make that our last one. And then we'll lower the arms down. Just give those shoulders a little roll around, shall we? Wonderful. Okay, so that is sort of a warm-up exercise, a mobility exercise as well, just to free everything up a little bit. We're going to come down onto the mat, but before we do, let me tell you what we need to do the next little bit. So I've got a towel, that's going to support my head. I've got a yoga block, okay, this is going to support my head as well. You don't need one of these. If you've just got a cushion or a couple of extra towels, you can use those, okay, because we're going to be doing a little bit of sideline. We need to make sure that the head is in a good position, so you will need those. So we're going to come down onto our mats. Now, if I just adjust my camera slightly, so then you can see me better then, can't you? While I'm on the mat. That's it. Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to start with my towel. It's going to support the head. And we're going to lie on our back to start with, okay? So we're going to set ourselves up in this position, okay? Now, if we have the legs together, okay, or feet together, and we'll do the same thing as we did in standing at the beginning. Fan the heels, fan the toes out, so that when we're setting up on the mat, we've got feet and knees hip width apart. Now, we're going to find our neutral position. So this is a really important, it's like setting your posture in that nice position, ready to exercise. So what we want to make sure now is that we're not arching the lower back. So you're going to take one hand, and you're going to see how far it goes under your waist, but don't move your spine, okay, stay in the same position. See how far your hand will go under. If it goes under really easily all the way, chances are you're too arched. You just need to feel like you're flattening the lower back into the mat a little bit more. So you just need to relax the lower back down. Ideally, it should just be tops of the fingers that will go underneath. So have another little go, and if you can just get the tops of the fingers underneath, and you can't slide it under as easily this time, then you know you're pretty much in that neutral position. And this is the position we need to be in when we're lying on our back on the mat. Okay, it helps us to stay supported around the centre, especially when we start talking about engaging those core abdominals. Okay, so I'm going to show you now one basic exercise. I do this an awful lot with everybody who starts Pilates. It's one of those exercises that I teach for lower back problems as well. It's called a scissor legs. And all we're going to do is we're going to float one knee up. We're just going to float it to there. And then we're going to lower it back down. And then we're going to float the other leg up. And then we're going to float it back down. So let's have a little go. Let's just float the knee. Okay, so the knee comes up and it just finishes just sitting over the hip. Okay, we're not straightening the leg, just keep that knee bent. Okay, and the whole time as you're moving the legs, you've got to stay in that neutral position. So remember, just a tiny little curve in the lower back there. Okay, so it's nice and simple, but it's a really powerful, really effective exercise, this one. Okay, let's rest the feet there. We can do the same with the arms. So I'm going to take my arms to the ceiling, okay, making sure my shoulders are down. So now we're working on a little bit of shoulder mobility. So this time we're going to send one arm overhead. Now just take it back as far as you can Okay, I'm going to take mine all the way to the floor, but if you're going to take yours to about there, then that's fine. Again, we just want to work within our own range of movements. Okay, and then we'll send the other one over. Now, even though we're working the arms, we still want to make sure we're in that neutral position. Okay, so just that little curve in the lower part of the back again. Here we go, one more time. Now, I'm going to keep the arms up to the ceiling. We're going to hold them there. Can we put those two exercises together? So we're going to work opposite arm to leg this time. So we're going to go back to our knee floats. So we're going to float one knee up and the opposite arm will go overhead. And then we'll bring everything back to our starting position. Then we'll switch. Opposite knee comes up, arm goes over, and then we come back to our starting position. Okay, so we want nice, steady movements. Nice and controlled. And don't forget, you've got to think about that little curve in the lower back. Okay, making sure you're not arching that back at all. Here we go, last one. Wonderful, okay. Then we can lower those arms down. Fabulous, okay, so that's our first little sequence. Now, let's have a look at pelvic stability. Okay, so this is really important when we're thinking about supporting the lower spine, strengthening the hips, okay? So this time, I'm going to make sure I've got my feet hip width before I start. You're going to take two fingers, and you're going to put the fingers on the hip bones at the front, okay? Because this time, I want you to check and make sure that your pelvis isn't moving as you're working the legs, okay? So we're in neutral, little curve in the lower back. Then you're going to take one knee and you're going to send it out to the side. Now we only want to send it about halfway to the floor, no more than that. And then we'll bring the knee all the way back up to the ceiling. And then we're going to send the other knee out to the side, about halfway. And then we'll bring it back up to the ceiling again. So the fingers are on the hips to make sure that the pelvis doesn't move. Okay, so if you feel that the pelvis is sort of rolling a little bit to the side as that knee goes out, then you just need to make your leg movements a little bit smaller, okay? Because the idea of this exercise is to stabilize the pelvis so that it doesn't move. Okay, should we just do one more? Knee goes out to the side, and then we bring it back in. Wonderful. Okay, arms down by the side. So this time, let's look a little bit more at opening out the front of the body, getting a nice big stretch. So we're just feeling more supple at the end of our session today. So we'll start with the legs and then we'll add in some arms. So make sure you've got that nice setup. Remember, you've got that little curve in the lower back there. So all we're going to do now is we're just going to slide one leg away across the floor and then slide it back in. And then we do the other leg. So we slide the leg away. Oh, my equipment's in the way. And then we'll slide it back in. And then we do it again. So we slide the leg away. So when the leg goes out straight, remember to have your back and your pelvis in that neutral position. So you still want that little curve. Because sometimes it's really easy when the leg goes out to arch the back. Can you see I've arched it now? And when we do that, we've got no support in the lower part of the back, so we can strain those little back muscles. Okay, so it's important that we stay in that nice position. Okay, nice straight legs as they go out. Let's just do one more. And then when you bring the foot in for the last time, finish with the feet hip width apart. Let's add in the arms. So we're going to do the same arms we did before. We're going to send them overhead. This time we're going to start with them on the mat. We're going to work opposite arm to leg again. So we're going to send one leg out. The opposite arm goes overhead. And then we bring everything back down to our starting position. And the other arm goes overhead. And then we bring everything back to our starting position. Off we go again. Okay, so again, nice and controlled movements. Nice and steady. You don't want to rush it because the center of the body is the most important thing. You want to stay in that neutral position. I think we'll just do one more, shall we? Here we go. And then we'll come back to our starting position. Wonderful. Okay, we're going to change positions. So from here, let's just roll onto our side so we can push ourselves back up to sitting. So this is where you need a little bit of extra support in this time. So I've got my yoga block. Remember, you can use a cushion. Actually, I think I might use 2 this morning. Okay, so all we're using these for is to lift the head, okay? Because we want the head in a nice, comfortable position so we don't put any tension or strain through the neck. So this time, we're going to come into a side lying position. So we're going to be strengthening hips, okay? Hips and turning the legs. I've also got a nice little stretch for the front of the chest as well, which is usually quite a popular stretch to do. Okay, so we're going to set ourselves up in this position. So I've got my support underneath my head, and then I'm going to lie with the arms out in front. I've got my knees bent and the feet are roughly in line with the spine. Okay, let's do one for the legs first of all, shall we? Okay, so we're going to float the top leg up and we're going to straighten it out. So you can see my leg is just about hip height. Don't want it too high to start with, okay? Nice straight leg though. I'm squeezing the front of my thigh. I want to start working those muscles before I can even do anything. So from here, we're going to float the leg up just a little bit more and then bring it back down to hip height. Then we do it again. So we float the leg up and then bring it back down to hip height. So you can see, again, the movements are really slow, nice and controlled. Okay, because if we make them nice and slow and controlled, it gives us time to think about everything else, what we need to be doing with our setup and everything else that's going on through the body while we're exercising. Just got a little cramp now in my foot. Oh, hopefully that'll go in a second. Okay, let's do one more. That's it, wonderful. Now hold that leg out, hold it there. Now, can we circle it? Okay, and then circle the leg around. So we're just going to keep them nice and small, not too big, because we're trying to balance as well now, aren't we, in this position. Then we'll change direction, we'll send the leg the other way. Nice small circles, that's it. So hopefully you can feel those muscles working in the hip and in the legs now. Okay, now let's bring that leg up into our rest position. So we're just going to rest it down on the floor in front. So that just releases those muscles that have been working a little bit. Okay, makes them feel a little bit better. Okay, legs back together. So let's have a go at that stretch for the chest then this time. So it's an arm opening. So we're going to take that top arm now and we're going to take it up to the ceiling. But you're going to turn your head. You're going to look at your hand as it goes. And then when you can't take it any further, or you feel any pulling in the front of the shoulder and across the chest, you know that's the point to stop. And then we're going to bring those arms back together. And then we'll do it again. So we're going to open out the arm, turn the head, follow that hand. We'll hold this out there for a second, get a nice little stretch. And then we'll bring those arms back together. Wonderful. Should we do it again? One more time. Arm goes out. Nice little stretch. And then we'll bring the arms back together. Wonderful. Rest the arms down. Let's do one more. This time we're going to do a hip strengthening exercise. This one is called the Clam. On this one, you've got to keep the feet together. Okay? And all we're going to do is we're going to open out the top knee and then bring the knees back together. So we open out the top knee and then we bring them back together. Okay? Now, here's a little tip for you to make this exercise really effective and really target the muscles in the side of the hip there, which help to stabilize and strengthen the hips. You've got to keep the pelvis still. So I often tell people to put their hand on the hip there, okay, because then you can check and see if you're staying still, okay. If you feel like you're rolling back a little bit, okay, that's not really doing much at all. Okay, so if you're rolling back, that just means that you're just opening out the knee too much. So you just need to make that movement a little bit smaller. Here we go. Here's our last one. Wonderful. And then we'll bring that leg back up into our rest position. Wonderful. So those were our 3 hip and leg exercises, and of course that nice arm opening to stretch out the chest. Legs back together. Shall we push ourselves back up, because we don't want to be imbalanced. We want to do the same on the other side. So we're going to switch, and we're going to do the same again. So we want that nice setup again. So your head is nicely supported. The arms are out in front. The knees are bent. The feet are roughly in line with the spine. So let's do that little leg lift that we started with. So we float the leg up and we straighten it out, as straight as you can. Remember, squeeze the front of the thigh again. And then we're going to float the leg up and bring it back down to hip height. Float the leg up, bring it back down to hip height. That's it, wonderful. So nice and slow and controlled. Okay, that's it, wonderful. Let's do another 2, shall we? Floating up and back down. Fantastic. Okay, we're going to hold it out then. We're going to do those circles again. Okay, so little circles. So all these exercises really that we're doing in this sideline position for the legs are strengthening the legs, strengthening muscles, strengthening their hips. We'll change direction. That's it. Fabulous. Okay, one more circle around, and then we'll bring that leg up into our rest position. Just relax it down there again. So hopefully again you could feel those muscles working as you were doing that. Let's bring them back together. We'll do our arm opening again, shall we? We'll do that little stretch. So here we go. We're going to open out the arm. You're going to follow your hand as it goes up and over. And then when you can't take it any further, or you start to feel that pulling through the chest, stop there. And then we can bring those arms back together. Off we go again. We're going to open out the arm. Hold it out there for a second. And then bring the arms back together. Wonderful. One more time. Opening out the arm. Fantastic. Okay, shall we finish off with the clam again? That hip strengthening exercise. So remember to keep the feet together. Don't open the knee too high. So here we go. Let's open out the knee and then bring them back together. Open out the knee and bring them back together. Wonderful. And then again, if you want to, you can have your hands on that top hip again. Make sure that the pelvis doesn't move, because that's what makes this exercise really effective, is when you fix the pelvis. So this exercise gives us a lot of strength through the hips. It helps to support the hips. And of course, it'll give you more movement as well. If you strengthen around a joint, the joint will get stronger. And if we add in our stretching and our flexibility exercises as well, over time we get a lot more movement, and everything just feels easier to move. That applies to any joint, not just the hips. Okay, should we rest it there? We'll bring that leg up into our rest position again. Fabulous. Okay, now let's bring the legs back together. I think we better have a little stretch then this time. I'm going to have a full body release. So I'm just going to move all of those away and just keep that towel there now, because I'm going to roll onto my back again. Okay, and this time a full body release. So we're going to straighten out the legs. And then we're going to send the arms overhead, so we get that nice stretch through the length of the body. It's a lovely way just to finish off any exercise routine. And then we can bring the arms down. We'll bring the knees back in so the feet are flat on the mat again. And then we'll just relax on the mat for a second. We've got the arms down by the side. So I've only briefly talked about breathing right at the beginning. But we're going to do that again just to finish off with, because I always find that when we focus on the breathing, it really does help to relax us. So we're going to take a nice deep breath in through the nose, and then breathe out through the mouth. again, you breathe in through the nose. And breathe out through the mouth. One more time. Breathing in. And breathing out. Wonderful. We're going to roll onto our side. We're going to push ourselves back up. We're going to come back to sitting. And we are all finished. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that little session. I hope if you're new to Pilates or if you haven't done much before, it's given you a good idea of what Pilates is all about, okay? Now, there's lots of things that I haven't touched on this morning. I haven't discussed engaging those core abdominal muscles. That's quite a big subject to talk about just in this session this morning. But there's lots of other things, the breathing, and the neutral position, which I did just talk to you a little bit about as well. So apart from all the exercises to learn, there's also lots of other things going on that if you watched me do it, you wouldn't necessarily know I was doing. But they are the things, those are our Pilates principles, if you like. They are our foundations for our basic exercises. So once we've got those foundations, we know how to breathe properly, how to engage those core abdominals, the exercises become even more effective. They make them a lot easier. And of course, it makes it that you're so supported. You're through the center of the body, your lower back is supported, that you can easily move on and progress those exercises without fear of hurting yourself. So this is an introduction for you. Like I said, hope you've enjoyed it. Or shall I have a little look, see if I've got any questions? Has any put me? No, I have no questions. Oh, there's even more of you watching now. That's fantastic. Wonderful. Okay, so since no one wants to ask me anything, let me just tell you why I teach Pilates and who I teach. So my group of people that I love to work with are the over 50s, particularly women. I attract a lot of women. And it's usually because they come to me because they just want to move easier and feel freer in their body. Maybe they've got, they're sort of getting aches and pains a little bit, some tension, tightness in their body. Maybe they've got problems with their joints and things like that, and they just want some gentle exercise. And the one thing that I focus a lot on, particularly when they start, is flexibility, because so many people tell me that they want to be more supple and more flexible, and strength. Not everybody tells me that they want to be stronger, but if we add in strength, like we did today in that sideline, you see they were quite easy, really, quite basic exercises, but there are simple strength exercises that we can do. And if you put those two together, it gives you fantastic mobility, which means it's good for joint health. So if you have reduced movement, say in your shoulder, for example, if you work on your flexibility and you strengthen around the joint as well, your range of movement, the amount you can move that shoulder will improve over time. If you've got any stiffness or tightness around that area, it's going to help to ease that as well. So I focus a lot on flexibility and strength, because at the end of the day, our mobility is the most important thing. As we get a little bit older, we want to stay mobile so that we can just keep enjoying those things that we enjoy in life, keep doing those things. Okay. So hopefully you've enjoyed the session today and you feel like you've had a little bit of a workout. Don't forget, this recording is going to be on my YouTube channel now, so you can come back and you can do it again over the weekend if you want to. Come back as many times as you want to. If it felt good, come back and do it again. Now, before I go, just one last thing to tell you. Below this video, in the description below, you will see details of my movement and mobility introductory course. So if you felt good after today and you want to do a little bit more with me, and you want something that sort of guide you through, break all the exercises down for you, tell you how to engage those core abdominals, but also support you along the way. Down below, it tells you about my 4-week course. There's a link, click on it, and then you can read all about it. Okay, I'll just check one more time. No comments today. Oh well, I hope you've enjoyed it anyway. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you'll come back and you'll do it again. and maybe I will see you again in the future, folks. So thank you very much for all of you who have joined me this morning, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye for now.